Good afternoon, friends, followers, and channel members. Channel member Von McLean, thank you so much. You've donated. We've not even boarded yet. Thank you, Von. You're very, very kind. Indeed. Richard, is there a spelling error in the description? Let me sort that. Get that changed. And that should now be all done if anyone hits refresh. Also, guys, I've just changed, before we started, recently just been playing around with my audio driver, so I've changed the volume level settings. Let me know if the voice is far too high and perhaps a little distorted. Let me know how that's getting on, and we'll get inside and start getting set up. Today's flight, Bilbao, on the northern coast of Spain, to Split in Croatia. For those of you not familiar with Split, coming in on runway 5, straightforward, nice eyeless approach, but coming in on runway 23, that's not straightforward, and the winds are changing as well. HD's here, thank God. Just in case those winds do decide to change halfway through the flight. And let me give you guys the operational flight plan. That indeed could be the case. So here is the OFP. We're planning for runway 2. We're planning for runway 05, but as I said, 23 could be on the cards. We shall see. So there's the operational flight plan for you guys. Let's get inside the flight deck and see what's happening. The airport we're going to, Split, is new from Orbx. I don't believe it's been released yet. I think that's coming in the next couple of days, so we get a chance to have a look at that early on. Big thanks to the Orbx guys for providing this for today's stream. Right, so here we are. Aircraft is in a turnaround state. Let's just go ahead, check everything is still okay. Upstairs and the panel up there, that all looks good. Current QNH here is 1015, and standby anti-skid. Just check the pedestal. We've got Unicom ready to go. Guard frequency is set. Switching panel, thrust levers, engine masters, engine mode, rudder, parking brake, and then over on the transponder, all that's set as it should be as well. Obviously, FCU is all set. Flight directors 1 and 2. Von, leave us in the kitchen, why not? And all our flight displays are obviously turned on as well. Right, so the operational flight plan that I've just given you guys, let's try and get this down here. There we go. Look at the winds at the moment, 0304 in split. Let's hope they remain that way. So I've already checked the operational flight plan prior to starting the stream, so I know what weather is coming up. Plan block is 7 tons. We're going to go ahead and take 8 tons. We're going to take 8 tons of fuel, so a full ton extra. Let's go ahead and get that loaded in. Can I use the slider for that? Sometimes it's just easier to type in now, isn't it? Yeah, let's go ahead and type that in. So refueling is underway. And there we go, an extra ton. Right, passengers. Let's see if we can get the self-loading cargo application up and running. Doors are open and passengers are boarding. Right, now that's all set then, let's have a look at setting up the McDo. HD, if you want to do the perf again, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. So on the operational flight plan then, let's see, what do we got? 180 passengers, payload 18720, 18720. We'll just play with that zero fuel weight CFG a little bit. Zero fuel weight is 59.7. HD, I've had to go back to the other weights for this aircraft rather than the more realistic ones, I'm afraid, just so things match up correctly. Let's load that in. So fuel is still being reloaded, we can see that coming up. 3 nav green, and we've got LEAP engines and valid Airac cycle. Okay, let's get the uplink, and our alternate is LDDU, one of my favourite airports to land at. .34 Alpha Mike Alpine today, flight level 350, temperature is close enough, and tropo, we'll call that 44,500 feet. Then the flight plan. Departing runway 12, and it's going to be the Papa November 1 Hotel. Departure. There it is. Insert. And then our arrival is going to be, hopefully, let's keep everything crossed, the ILS 05 Zulu, which is bringing us in via the Torpo 1 Zulu arrival. Torp 1 Zulu, and that brings us in. Quick check of the charts. I think it's via, is it via Chemix, that one? Yeah, via Chemix. There it is. And insert. So that gives us a distance of 916. I've got 929 on the operational flight plan, so that's all fine. RadNav page then, what we're going to pop in here, we want the Bravo Lima Victor VOR, as we're going to use that for our engine out departure procedure should we have a problem with that. More about that soon. And then onto the init B page. Trip wind is a tailwind of 39, that's what we want. I've got guests coming around for tea tonight, I don't want to be late. Tailwind of 39. So, fuel planning 6.4. We're still loading. I've loaded 8 tons, so I'm just going to pop in 7.9. Normally I presume you would wait until that was fully loaded, but I know how that's going to work out. Which gives us a takeoff weight then HD of runway 12 of 67, call it 67.5 tons. And I think we should be good. Alternate fuel is, let's call that 1.2. And that's an extra 34 minutes flying time. Michael John, good afternoon. You watched the flight Gibraltar to Toulouse video earlier. Great stuff. The departure was obviously from Gibraltar, but isn't it an absolute backside to try and land there? It can be. Chalty, good afternoon, mate. Hope you're well. Okay, so I'm just waiting for some performance calculations from HD. Let me just check if we've got any departure control. We've got Barcelona control, and we do pass through there, so we'll get hold of those in a little bit. Fantastic. So it's going to be flaps 154 flex, and then it's 134, 134, 138. Okay, let's get a couple of other pieces of information then. So, transition altitude here is 6,000 feet. And then our initial climb out, if it's given to us. Initial climb is flight level 80. Thrust reduction and acceleration is 1119, rounded up in the simulator to 1120. Engine out acceleration, however, is 1405. Again, rounded up by the simulator. Okay, let's start having a look at our departure brief. First thing we'll have a look at is the weather. Now the weather here is beautiful. A quick look outside, you can see that for yourself. If we come over to the flypad as well, we can also see winds 020 at 10, 1016 now the current QNH, so that's just gone up by 1. That shouldn't affect our departure performance figures. 1016, nice long runway. So if I had a problem with the aircraft, I'd have no problem coming here. No times to be aware of. There are works on the taxiway around this airport, however none that will affect our taxi to runway 12 for our departure. Threats to be aware of then. Well, look at the terrain. So we take off, and let's just check this is all coded correctly after our initial takeoff, but we can see that we've got lots of terrain that we're going to fly over, which means we need to maintain a what's the gradient on this? Yeah, we can maintain a gradient of 7%. I shouldn't have think that's going to be a problem, and you can look at the speeds there. So we're going to be doing between 200 and 250. We've got no problem targeting higher rates of climb than is shown just there. But yeah, we need to be aware of the terrain and expect close-in obstacles. So should be quite a nice scenic departure. Let's check then that it is all coded correctly as well with that flight plan. So after departure we have Lukeb from Lukeb Sigam Malob. and then the Pamplona VOR. Excuse my pronunciation. So, big threats, slight crosswind as well on departure, and then we also have the terrain which we need to be aware of. Thankfully the weather is good, so we will be VMC all of the way. Okay, let's talk through where we're going. Pushing back stand 1, we shall be facing west. We'll taxi down via Bravo, and then is it Tango 4? Yeah, so we'll taxi on to Bravo, and then it's going to be Tango, and we're going to go holding point Charlie 6 for runway 12. We've already had a quick look at our departure, straight out, coded in nicely, so happy with that. If anything goes wrong then, the emergency brief. No air traffic control online here, so if we have any problems we just make a quick call on Unicom and let other aircraft know that we are stopping on the taxiway. We'll then try and figure out if we can what's gone wrong and get them back to the stand. Of course, if it's something far more serious, then you would potentially consider evacuating. Anyway, on departure, of course, it's my takeoff. Any problems or warnings before 100 knots, we'll consider stopping. After 100 knots and up to V1, we'll only stop then for the uninhibited ECAM warnings, engine fire or failure with or without thrust loss, or if we think that the aircraft is unsafe to fly. If so, I will call stop. We go max reverse, keep the aircraft straight on the runway, and use manual braking if auto brake isn't stopping the aircraft as well as I want it to. If we do have a fire warning, we need to point the aircraft into the wind. Very important, we've already flagged up that there is a crosswind for our departure. Once we've come to a stop, we stow the reversers, set parking brakes, and announce cabin crew to attention all stations. Then we'll just sit on our hands for a couple of seconds and check out the ECAMs. Once we've established the cause of the failure, why we stopped, etc., we can either complete ECAM drills, we'll vacate the runway, or if it's more serious, of course, if we did have an engine fire, then we would look at running the evacuation run by calling evacuation initiate. However, if we have a failure after V1, we've got to get the aircraft into the air. If it's an engine failure, we fly using standard technique of 12.5 degrees pitch, using rudder to counteract the yaw, following SRS commands. Once the aircraft has a positive rate of climb, we'll get the gear up. We can trim out the yaw and engage the autopilot. In doing so then, I'm also going to pull the heading bud, as this is a non-standard instrument out departure. What happens here is at a distance of 8.5 miles from the Bravo Lima Victor VOR, which we can now just turn on. There it is. So once we're 8.5 miles out, we make a left turn to the Sunia holding point. That holding point entry is 121 degrees, and it is left turns. So once the engine is secure and we are above minimum safe, and we are above the single engine acceleration altitude, and we've completed that turn, then we'll push the level off to accelerate away, retract flaps on schedule, and then at green dot we'll go open climb, setting maximum continuous thrust. Once we've turned towards our holding point, we'll then consider what to do next. Are we going to continue, return, or divert? We've already said returning here wouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay, well, how are we doing passenger wise? Let's have a quick check. Passengers, I think, are now all on board. Let's get the APU running as well. Fueling is also finished, so APU started, seatbelt signs can come on, fuel pumps are on. Now we can get the doors closed. Check that lower ECAM. Oh, the APU page is on there, but I think all the doors are now closed. Once the APU is running,
all the passengers are on board and we're ready to go. I'll bring you a cup of tea after we've taken off.
Oh, she's so nice. Once APU is running, we'll get APU bleed on. We'll disconnect external power, and we shall run the before start checklist to the line. Just whilst I'm waiting for this, a big shout out to Dark Fury. I don't know if Dark's in the chat, I've not seen him actually. But Dark Fury has added a couple of things to our channel livery. So we've got a new decal plate, Cellcal plate, and we've also got Easyjet winglets. This is also quite neat as well. If we have a look at the landing gear doors, you can see we've now actually got the registration on there as well. So thank you, Dark, for that, and of course to Christian, who was the initial creator of the channel livery. Big thanks to both you guys for that. APU is running, APU bleed on. External power is now disconnected. So fuel is checked, make sure that's balanced as well. Indeed it is. All doors are closed. HD, I need to get back into the I need to start to bring that in. For so long I've had APU off to delay burning fuel, but obviously, quite right, APU needs to be on whenever passengers are being boarded. Final couple of things. We've already checked RadNav page. That's all good. Okay, so before start checklist. Cockpit preparation is now all completed. Signs are on and auto. It is 3 nav green. Fuel quantity 7980 kilograms, checked and balanced. FMGS is set and altimeter 1016. So I think we're about ready to start pushing back.
Special welcome on board to our Easyjetsimpilot members, and if you wish to inquire about becoming a member, please contact a member of the cabin crew. All our Easyjetsimpilot members are of course entitled to free drinks throughout the flight. Thanks very much, and we'll give you an update once we are airborne.
So I'm just going to switch over to Unicom. Oh, we're already done that. So 122.8 is there, and let's make our call. Bilbao traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Stand 1, pushing back, facing to the west. So before we do that, we want to get the rotating beacon light on. We can start the timer, check the pressure, transponder set to standby, release those parking brakes. In fact, let me just run the checklist, then release the parking brakes. So, before start checklist below the line, windows and doors are closed and armed, rotating beacon light is on, mobile phone is on silent, parking brake is on. Let's release, and we're getting ready to push, then we'll start the engines. Parking brake released. Back we go. And we're now clear to start, so engine mode selected to ignition, starting engine 1. Rambo, good to see you again. Hope you're well. Well and busy. And you're quite right, Rambo. the version that we're flying today, the fly-by-wire mod, is indeed far, far better than the stock version that comes with Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Now ask for your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit routes, oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping others. If we land on water, take the life jacket from under your seat. Put it over your head. Pass the tapes around your waist. Click together and pull the strap to adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by pulling the toggle. If it fails to inflate or needs topping up, blow into the tube. There is a light and whistle for attracting attention. We also carry flotation aids for children. Your tray table must now be stowed, armrest down, window blinds open, and seatbelt fastened. We wish you a pleasant flight with Easyjet.
I think one of the things I hate doing most is having to do my own pushback and trying to get it right. Engine 2, starting engine 2. Slow that tug down a little bit. That will do. And we'll end the pushback just there. Pop the parking brake back on. And we'll wait for engine number 2 to stabilise. Papa Crash. One way you can do it is, if you just see here, the CFG is 31.3, so once engine 2 is stabilised, I'm going to go ahead and set the trim. Normally the PM would do that, but I don't have one. Well, I do. All you guys are my PM, but you can't change my trim setting. So engine number 2 now stable. So engine mode select to norm. APU bleed off, APU master off, anti-ice not required. So spoilers, rudder, flaps 1, and then we set the CFG, which we said was 31.6. So just using the numbers on the side. There we go. Okay, so I think the tug driver's already done one, hasn't he? He's disappeared. Let's run the after start checklist. Anti-ice not required. ECAM status is checked. And pitch trim 31.6, rudder trim 0. Pushback's clear. Let's announce our taxi. Bilbao traffic, Alpine 3 for Alpha Mike. Taxi now via Bravo Tango to holding point Charlie 6 runway 12. HD, do you memorise those weights? And just because it's easier to do this while stationary than in real life, in the sim, let's do our flight control check. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, rudder, full right, rudder, full left, and neutral. Taxi light on. These ground textures look great here. They really do. Okay, let's just do our PEDS check. So, performance, QNH still 1016, no change to the flex takeoff. Engine out procedure, a reminder, non-standard. So, if we have a problem, let's get that heading bug pulled nice and early. And at 8.5 miles from the Bravo Lima Victor VOR, 8.5 miles, it's a left-hand turn to the Sunir holding point. Departure matches what we have in the FMGC, and stop altitude is 8,000 feet.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Oh, I was panning around whilst doing some slight rudder inputs there. They need to fix that. Gets me every time. Before takeoff checklist to the line, flight controls have been checked. Departure briefing confirmed. Flap setting. Config 1. Set. FMA takeoff data 134 blue, 138 magenta. Climb nav blue, 8000 blue, 1FD2, flex 54. Transponder is set. ECAM memo takeoff no blue. Electronic flight bag is stowed. HD Rambo, are you guys comparing your you guys comparing pilot weights? Darren on Facebook, I've not had those problems that you've just laid out. Autopilot disengaging. I've only had it happen once, and that's when I was testing something, so perhaps it may be some other mod that you've got in your community folder. So here we go, holding point Charlie 6. And we'll just stop the aircraft here for a second. Okay, brake temperatures 25, absolutely fine. Okay, let's get ready for takeoff, shall we? Strobe lights on, all lights on. Transponder TCAS. Packs 1 and 2. Bilbao traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, departing runway 12 on the Papa November 1 Hotel departure. Before takeoff checklist below the line, cabin is secured. Engine mode select is normal, TCAS, TARA, packs off, anti-ice not required. Rambo, I don't think you're the only one that's taken advantage of food during lockdown. What else was there to do? Especially for pilots, really. What else was there to do? Blizzard Extreme TV on Twitch. Yes, this is a mod. This is the FlyByWire A320NX mod for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So there you can see the terrain as well that we briefed a little bit earlier on, which we're going to be flying straight over. Of course, ordinarily we'd have the terrain radar on as well. Sadly, it is in op. Okay, so let's go. Take off. Start the chrono. And set 50%. N1. Engine stable. Set takeoff thrust. Man flex, SRS, and runway. There's that crosswind. Engine number 1 critical.
Easy 1 platform from the active departure from the A320 line of the way, watching this impression. On runway 12.
V1. Rotate. Nav.
Positive report, gear up.
Set climb thrust. Thrust climb. Climb. Pack 1 on. Autopilot 1 engaged. At 1700 feet. HD would be sweating. Pack 2. Set standard pressure. Quick look before we approach S speed. Wow. There it is. S speed. Flaps 0. Ground spoilers disarmed. Sky 173, thank you for following. Everything behaving itself. No ATC online, I'm just double checking that. Not until we get to Barcelona, so let's just give ourselves a higher flight level. Set flight level 250, 250 blue. And this particular departure would give passengers both sides, left and right, a fantastic view of the scenery down below. Cabin crew can come out of their seats. Now you don't hear the chime anymore. The reason for that is because the flight deck door is closed. If the flight deck door was open, you'd actually hear it, which is a neat little touch that the Fly-by-Wire team have added in recently. A little bit of turbulence as we come over that terrain beneath us. Oh, look at that! The row of wind turbines. Placed quite obviously on the top of a windy hill. That would make sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt fastened while the seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
So, passing flight level 100, let's get all the lights off. Put the airports on the EFIS, we'll clear the radnav. Check the progress page, flight level 350, no problem going that far, so let's go. Flight level 350, 350 blue. Ah, HD! I was going to ask you about that. So, I like it, you've worked it out. No smoking signs, so it goes off the ECAM memo and the gear comes up. Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to know that Fly-by-Wire guys have got that modelled nicely. Christian, is there a workaround mod for no lights on VATSIM? Because that is an absolute pain when flying at night and you can't see aircraft. I forget which stream it was or where we landed. We landed somewhere. ATC said, follow the aircraft passing left to right, the Ryanair. Oh, what aircraft? I can't see him. It was pitch black. Boeing 7478 on Twitch. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now turned off the seatbelt sign and you are now free to move around the cabin. We do recommend, however, when in your seat, that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case of unexpected turbulence. The toilets are now available. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
On our way up to our cruising altitude then, just checking that fuel flow. It's nice and high, but ISA is also a little bit above the normal, but to be fair, we're in Spain, it's the middle of summer, there's high pressure all over Europe I think at the moment. Oh, now have we got discontinuity? I keep forgetting that that's now been added in to this version of the Fly-by-Wire mod, so we do have to make sure we search for them. Would have been interesting to see that had I not spotted it, would the aircraft have just gone into heading mode? That's what it should do. Mitchell Taylor, good evening! And Matthew Mitchell as well, good to see you. Hey Wayne! So as per usual, I do apologise, I don't pay too much attention to the chat whilst we're getting set up and airborne. Good to see you all. Rise of Music, do I use the Pro version of Streamlabs? Yes, I do. I do. I don't even know what the basic version... in fact, the difference is that we can stream to multiple platforms. So, thanks to Mobrek and Virginie on Twitch as well for following. So, we're currently streaming to Facebook, YouTube and Twitch all at the same time. It's a rather bumpy part of Spain, this, isn't it? The northern quarter. Make for some great VFR flights. So now we can just chill out a little bit, make sure the aircraft performs as expected. We can see one or two lumps and bumps. That should calm down once we get over and away from that terrain. Fly with Captain X. Is there any way you can get Navigraph for free? No, absolutely not. When is it normal to get flight plan discontinuities of... yeah, it is. Yeah. And that's what you need to do. You just delete them. HD, we'll see you soon. Be back for the landing, because if that wind swings round, I'm going to need a PM. Paul, no, it's not FS2 crew that I'm using, but for those of you interested in FS2 crew, make sure, if you haven't done so already, then hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell. There's a video coming out in the next 24 hours or so, which should be taking a good look at that and how I think it works. Ah, Razlovan, you won't copy me. Loads of people stream. It's good fun. Tree Bruin, you can absolutely sit there and observe. If you're in observer mode, well, I'll not even see you. You'll not even be there. You could be right on the runway threshold, and I'll not know. Jeff L. Chart Fox is a great alternative, quite right. That fuel burn dropping off now as we get higher and higher. Once we get 50350 then we shall check out our top of climb and cruise checks. Becky Bot's with us. I haven't got the heart to get rid of her. Rambo, good to see you, my friend. Feel free to come back for the landing in just shy of 2 hours. So should be around about 1700 hours Zulu time, if if you fancy a chuckle. Hazan, thank you so much for your donation. Hazan says you want the PMDG 747 Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, they've already said the 737's coming out, haven't they? I think they also said originally before the end of this year. I don't know if Sim Update 5 has scuppered that plan. But it would be nice. I mean, for me personally, it's not too much of a huge deal because, as you can clearly tell, I'm more of a Boeing boy. But I know there are so many die-hard Boeing fans that would just make Microsoft Flight Simulator the perfect amalgamation of aircraft and scenery, wouldn't it? Ice-T, yeah. Sorry, did I say Boeing boy? God, no. Ugh. Airbus. An Airbus guy. Christian, you've got to correct yourself. The light fix mod is not working with VATSIM. It only works for AI aircraft. Oh, that's a shame. Von McLean, which airport's that? I'm not familiar with that code. Can't Duckula, the sim looks way too bright and washed out. Are Microsoft Flight Simulator looking to fix it? I think they're looking to fix a lot of things after sim update number 5. Yeah, Talia, we'll just forget I said that. Thankfully, HD had already logged off. The Invonka, is it usual to run with the probe window heat off, or have I misunderstood how auto on works? No, you'd never turn this one. The only time you turn the probe window heat on would usually be on the ground. It's on automatically anyway as soon as your engines are running. But if you're on the ground, you know, cold and frosty one morning, particularly here in the UK, you want to make sure that everything's defrosted and there's no ice on the windows. A bit like your car, to be honest. So then you'd pop that on, but once you're flying, then you should be able to leave that off. Oh, when you mean Barcelona radar? Yeah, we've got them coming up. They'll give us a ping as and when they want us. Sorry, I thought you were talking about an airport code, but yeah, Barcelona radar are indeed ahead of us, so they will give us a little ping when we get close to them. So Talia, you're blaming Xbox for a lot of issues with Sim Update 5. A lot of people are doing that, aren't they? Was it just coincidence? Does anyone know how to fix the fly-by-wire tablet? It's not turning on. Oh, I've not had that issue. I can turn it on, I can turn it off. It all works rather well. RCR, can I cover the various different autopilot modes such as airspeed, vertical speed in this plane? You can't seem to make it do what you want. RCR, are you coming from a Boeing aircraft or a different type of aircraft when trying to fly this? Because they are quite different. They're actually really nicely, they're really nice to fly, very easy to understand if you know the logic behind them. If you know the logic behind them, then it becomes quite clear. For example, we're in thrust climb at the moment, and that's a speed setting. So the aircraft is maintaining anywhere between 88-90% N1, and we would control our speed by pitch. So if I wanted to climb much faster right now, then what I would do is I would pull the speed bug and reduce the speed. The only way to reduce the speed whilst we're in thrust climb setting is to, of course, raise the pitch of the aircraft. We'd climb faster, we'd drop airspeed. I think the best thing I can suggest is checking out the Real World Procedures tutorial playlist on the channel, and that should hopefully get you sorted. Minus 38. Are we flying through this cloud base, or are we just coming above it? Oh, that's fine. We don't need anti-ice on. Marlon, it was a Freudian slip. Yeah, I have too many of those. Dark, you've heard that FlyByWire are not fixing TCAS until VNAV's done. I have no idea. I've not seen that. The Invoker, did I load a SimBrief operational flight plan in British Airways for it? British Airways? No. Always Easyjet. On this channel, anyway. Yeah, so I'll say, if you're coming from the CJ4, I'm not too familiar with that, but yeah, you need to become a little bit more familiar with just how the different modes work. So, as I say, at the moment, the amount of thrust the aircraft is producing is locked. It will always maintain around 90% N1, and that will not roll back until we've hit our cruising altitude. And of course we're in nav mode at the moment, which means it's following the flight plan that we have down here. Yakovich06, any reason sometimes when I push back with the FlyByWire A320 all your screens turn off after I turn the APU off and engine start? Ah, that could be a problem, Yakovich. Don't turn your APU off until your engines have started. Your APU needs to be running, otherwise you're going to lose power to the aircraft. The Space Channel, hello! Ice-T on Twitch, you'd rather have them fix the green lines in the nav display. Your approach lines are always 1,000 miles long. Which version are you flying, Ice-T? This is the experimental version, and so that does happen occasionally, but it's okay, because normally it works itself out. Yeah, so if you're on the experimental version, it'll sort itself out. J Hog, good afternoon. Mitchell Taylor, do you line up for an RNAV runway the same as you would for an ILS? You're quite new to Microsoft Flight Simulator and you can't get comfortable with RNAV approaches. Okay, what I want you to do then, Mitchell, is if you check out the channel, there's a tutorial on doing an RNAV approach. They're very similar, but there's no glide slope. Trade when you use sometimes have a problem where auto thrust wouldn't sometimes function properly for the A320 experimental. Always making sure, of course, you can't turn on auto thrust unless you have got your thrust lever in the climb detent or the toga or MCT. Coming up on our cruising altitude, Mac Alt Star. J-Hog, you've got a 6 simulator. I messaged you earlier and said clear the community folder out. What happens? Does it still not load? Yakovich 06, that sounds very strange. I'm not sure what's causing that. Nichols 1, Croatia is a very beautiful place indeed. Alt cruise. We're now at our cruising altitude. I've landed at Dubrovnik a few times here on the stream. Dubrovnik is very nice, and it's not a straight in approach either. Quite difficult, quite windy as well, with the terrain around it that whips the winds up on the approach. Hyacinth, can I explain why when you come in for an ILS, sometimes LS Unlock finds the ILS, but sometimes it doesn't? I honestly have no idea. I've seen a few people saying this. Sometimes it captures the ILS, sometimes it doesn't. I can only put it down to SimBook. The main thing I would say is always make sure that in your RadNav page you've got the ILS frequency plumbed in there. I always double check that now. Jhog, what I would do is I would clear your community folder of everything. Then I'd run the simulator. Then I'd exit the simulator. Then I'd reinstall the FlyByWire mod from their site using their installer, whichever version you wish, and then I would try again. Remember though that the FlyByWire mod is its own aircraft, so be sure not to select the default Airbus A320 aircraft, which a lot of people can do very easily by mistake because the images look the same. The space channel, can I tell you what mode to use whilst on the approach, heading or nav? That all depends. If the star is bringing you on nicely aligned with the interception for the localizer, then I'd keep it in nav. But if ATC are online and they've given you vectors, then you'd be in heading mode. Hey Nick, hope you're well. Hi Scott, good to see you. Why is there a different altitude difference between the parameter flight display and the status bar on the top? That's just because the status bar on the top doesn't work correctly. So this is our correct altitude, and now we're at the top of the climb. We'll set TCAS to below and let the passengers know that we're now just along for the ride. 22 minutes or so in, and we're at the top of climb.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, you'll be delighted to hear that we're now at our cruising altitude, and we hope to give you nice views throughout the flight as we have good weather ahead and should be experiencing any turbulence. Of course, this means that you will not spill any of your drinks that you may have from the cabin crew as they begin to start making their way around the aircraft. Could you please ensure that the eyes are kept clear so the cabin crew can offer you their cabin service, which will begin shortly. A reminder that Easyjetsimpilot channel members are able to access free drinks throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of the flight.
Ah, Razlovan Music, were you trying to capture the glide slope before capturing the localizer? Yeah, it doesn't work. You have to capture the localizer first. Capturing a localizer from above, sorry, correction. Capturing a glide slope from above is a specific procedure. I see you can't wait for the Phoenix A320. No, I think quite a few of us are in that camp. But I don't think we can ever forget the hard work that FlyByWire have done, because it's not cost any of us a penny to download it, has it? Volcom 1722, how am I finding the new experimental version? I love it, even with the in-op systems. I love it. I think it's great. So much to commend on this aircraft. It'll be nice. Ah, and there is ATC. I was just going to say, it'll be nice when all the systems are operational again. So we're going to contact ATC now, 13235. Can we use the tablet? 13235.
Which goes 7 November Yankee, Barcelona, radar contact. Expect Victor Lima Charlie 3 Lima, arrival runway 10.
Just seemed a little bit loud. I was just turning that down a little bit. Barcelona Centre, good afternoon. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, flight level 350 inbound GEMS.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, Barcelona. Hello, squawk 6212.
6212 the squawk for Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
Barcelona Centre, good afternoon. Easy15 Foxtrot with you, flight level 330 inbound ground. Easy15 Foxtrot, Barcelona. Hello, squawk 6213. Squawk 6213 for Easy15 Foxtrot.
So hopefully he'll come back as
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, radar contact, flying direct, deeper.
and if you can just confirm the spelling for Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
Sure, 34 Alpha Mike, deeper, Delta India, Bravo, Echo Romeo.
Direct to Dieber for Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Nice little shortcut.
Contact, flight direct, deeper.
And the reason for that will be to keep us out of the way of Barcelona's airport airspace. Volcom 722, you can do on-nav approaches in this aircraft. No, no problem. Okay, what I want to do is I just want to do a quick fuel check.
Roger, taxi to holding point runway 10 to the left via Bravo.
So we were inbound Gammas, we've just made a left-hand turn. We should have around 5.8, around 6 tons of fuel still. Okay, so we've burnt maybe 150 kilograms extra. That's okay. No major problems there. Just watching how this aircraft lines up to fly back direct to Dieber. We may have to just do that again. So if I can go direct now, Dieber, try that again. There, that right hand turn should get us back on track. The experimental version is still obviously a work in progress. If this doesn't work, we'll pull the heading bug when heading direct, and then we'll tell it to go direct again, and that should sort it. Air Trooper 37, good afternoon. We're in your part of the world today, just skirting Barcelona. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, heading. Look at that nice tailwind, that's what I want. Now let's go direct Dieber. That should put us back into nav. There we are. Air Trooper 37, you've just been skinny dipping. Well, I guess it's warm enough when you're part of the world, isn't it? Volcom 1722, when doing an on-nav approach, do you have in the A320NX or the real A320 kind of vertical guidance? Yes, you do. You get the magenta brick, which is a bit hit and miss, sadly, at the moment in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But you do. You get the magenta brick. And some of the new aircraft as well, you can create a false glide slope. I don't know if the Phoenix is going to have that. So Fitha Miranda, just be aware that VNAV is not yet available in this aircraft. They're working on it, but not yet.
13 knots, runway 10, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 10, approach 8 takeoff.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages, together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Now's the time to go and grab yourselves a drink. I'm just going to look through the SD pages. So, use around 1.3 tons of fuel. Landing elevation 30 feet. Pressure and cabin altitude's good. Electric page is fine. Hydraulics 3000. Fuel 2.2. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's good. No fuel leaks. APU obviously not on. 24 degrees in the cabin, and we've got doors all closed and armed. Brake temperatures cooling down nicely. All computers on. System status normal. So let's have a look at some en route weathers. We definitely want to keep an eye on what's happening at Split, although I reckon I could land with a tailwind. So weather request. Let's pop in, let's put Split in as the first one now, so LDSP. And let's see, where else should we have a look for? We've just flown past Barcelona. We're now heading away from Barcelona. And if we just check the flight route, so there's a little shortcut that we've just made. We'll put Barcelona in there in case anything happened right now. So there's Barcelona. We could also have a look at Nice. And then there's a couple of airports, not the easiest ones to get into, to be fair. We've got Bastia and Ajaccio Napoleon Bonaparte Airport. Depending on the winds there, that's a pain to get into as well. Let's have a look at Bastia instead, which is Lima Fox Kilo Bravo. Oh, I've just deleted Dubrovnik, but that's okay. And then, should we have a look at Rome as well? Rome or Pisa? Let's go with Rome. Lima, India, Romeo Fox. And we'll send those off. Volcon 1722, yeah, that magenta brick should just appear. You shouldn't need to turn on the landing system or anything like that. It should just happen automatically. Jeff, you get a crash to the desktop when loading the RNAV approaching the McDo on the experimental. That's very strange. I've done it a few times. I've done it a couple of times. It's been okay. Aculus, can I help you add the North Atlantic waypoints to a flight plan? I've not tried it in the experimental version, so I'm afraid I can't. Not in this version. Maybe it's something we need to look into. Adriatic Centre is also online. Do they cover? Yes, they do. So if they remain online, it means that we're going to have ATIS we're going to have ATC for split, in which case, sod the winds, I'm still going to request runway 05. If we go to the McDo, and we've just got that message in, but if I just go to the AOC menu, let's just see, go to ATIS, type in Lima Delta Sierra Papa, we'll see if that is also available to us. We'll check that in a moment.
Buenas de nuevo, el Boeing 5130 pasando 4400 pies en ascenso.
Andy Dowling, thank you for subscribing a few minutes ago. Ooh, a little bit bumpy. Riding this tailwind. Brian, you're on the Bombardier Q400 today. That will be noisy, yes. And probably turbulent.
Esperaremos el Tolso 5 November para la 24 Iberia 51, corrección Boeing 5130.
Shivam, I'm using the latest experimental build. Well, I think this is about 3 days old. And I've not had a problem with it, so I'm not touching it for a while. I think that's the thing. If you find a build that works, stick with it. Or at least back it up before you update. Let's have a look at that METAR. What's happening at Split then? 0303. Good. It can stay like that. Barcelona behind us now. But wind and visibility still good there. Looking forward then to Russia. We've got Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Pass your message.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Altitude climb will descend to uneven level. 360 and 340 are available.
Roger, we can take flight level 360, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike going climb level 360.
Climbing now, flight level 360, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Open climb 360.
Even flight level 340 and 320 are available. Logo and climb 340 for each month.
That will help with our fuel burn as well. Might even get us there a little quicker. Yeah, so weather there is fine as well. 350 at 11. And then at Rome, 22013. Few clouds, good visibility. All of those looking good as alternates if we needed them. Cardinal 22, we are indeed still in the air. Oh, you got notified an hour late for the stream, Cardinal. If you're in our Discord server, I normally do put a post in there as well in the departure lounge. Alt Star, as we're coming up, there's Alt Cruise, our new flight level of 360. It looks like if the timing is right, we're going to be landing around about 1700 Zulu, which is perfect. And John Eustace has been a member for 4 months. Thank you very much to John. So we're leaving the Spanish coastline behind.
Barcelona control, buenas tardes, Easyjet level 370.
Is that Chumi?
854 Barcelona, buenas tardes, radar contact, expect Lores 1 Papa arrival island, Lulu, runway.
I recognise that voice, that's Chumi, isn't it? Channel member Chumi.
And that approach will be actually, could you please confirm it with the Lores 1 Papa?
How random, he's going into Barcelona.
And Lores 1 Papa, Easyjet.
Shivam, I used the live weather inbuilt in the simulator, that's right, so we're on default live weather. Ben Steek, what kind of model matching do I use? I use model matching which is described by channel member Nick on our Discord server in the Pilots Lounge. Go and check that out, there's a link to it in the video description.
Flight level altitude 2,500, climbing 6,000.
Martin, the add-on that displays altitude, speed, etc. at the top of the screen is an overlay from FlyLive Studio. I can't see it. It's just there for your information, not for mine. Prox FPV, hello mate, how you doing? Hello from the FlyByWire QA. Treatment, has there ever been fans who have connected as air traffic control because I was flying? I don't know if they were fans, but yeah, we have had it happen before.
Clock 6, confirmed squawk. 6221.
Let's see if we've got any ATIS currently for split. No, none available at the moment.
Papa Oscar Sierra 4 November, runway 24.
Expect Papa Oscar Sierra 4 November, runway 24, Lufthansa 878.
Virtual flight 1, flying direct Lampa.
J-Hog, you've done as I've said, you're now starting to sum up. Where do you change the FlyByWire A320 in the aircraft selection? There is the Airbus A320neo, but no FlyByWire one. It'll be there. If you've got it in the community folder, J-Hog, it will be there. But you've got to search for it. Because it's not... The menu's not as intuitive since Sim Update 5, is it? Flight Sim Aviation, hello? I recommend the cheapest that you can get away with. Or the most expensive you can afford. Take your pick. So we're now nicely over the Mediterranean, all things working well. What's in the experimental version that differs from the stable version? It is the custom flight plan manager, which basically means that the flight plan manager in the McDo all works now very much correctly, far better than the default. So in the past you'll not have been able to clear waypoints out, you'll have had the aircraft flying towards the final runway fix on your approach when you pass the decel point, all stuff like that. All of those little problems have now all gone. The aircraft flies exactly where you're expecting it to fly, which when you're on VATSIM is a huge bonus. Bastian, where do you find the correct pitch trim setting before you start it anywhere on the operational flight plan? It's in the McDo, so hang on, let me just head back.
Alpine 34, Alpha Mike, monitor Unicom 122.8.
Over to Unicom 122.8, thanks for the service, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
EC15 Foxtrot, monitor Unicom 122.8. Monitor Unicom.
So if I was to set the trim now, I go to the fuel prediction page and it's there. So C of G is 31.8. I'd come down here and I would look for look at the arrows. I've just realised in doing that I keep losing my mouse sometimes. Yeah, I can't set it because obviously it's all being controlled automatically on auto trim. But you can see the C of G figures showing just. My mouse disappearing. You can see the CAG figures showing just there. So that's 17, that's 20, the next one I think is 25. So yeah, essentially you just line it up with these arrows here, and that's how you'd set it to 31.8. It's only a rough guesstimate as well. As long as you're within the green band, it should be fine. Do I feel it's a lot better to run than the stable build? Oh yes, definitely. Jabari, how did I load and calculate the plane in the flight management system in the McDo? The weights get stuck on 0. So it's all imported from SimBrief, all of the weights. using the operational flight plan. Vaughn, thank you for stopping by. Have a great weekend, Vaughn. And Alexa221, thank you for subscribing. Chewie, we thought that was you. We'd recognise your voice anywhere. Hope your landing in Barcelona was successful. How do you change the zero fuel weight so it matches with the sim brief's given zero fuel weight? Right, in that case what you need is the A320, you need the FlyByWire A320 sim brief aircraft profile. You can download that on our Discord server, the one that I use. It's in the pilot's briefing room. Get that installed and all your weights will match up.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. Full details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we could be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Oh, he's off to Palma, is he, Von? Ah, fair enough. Great airport to land at, especially if you've got the scenery from Just Sim. It's beautiful. So over the Mediterranean for a while now, before we make landfall at Italy, I think we touch on next. Then we're going to start talking about this approach. But we should be on the ground in a little over 1 hour. And Cliff, you're flying Easyjet right now to Palma. Yeah, exactly. Great airport. Leroy, is 400 feet per minute considered a hard landing? You'll feel it. If you can get it under 300 feet per minute, you're fine. How do you get this view of the wing? These are custom views that I have set up. Again, you can download these from our Discord server in the pilot's briefing room. And there's also a video on the channel explaining how to install them as well. So if you're enjoying the flight this afternoon, please do give the stream a like if you haven't done so. It really does help other people find the channel. You can also hit subscribe and turn on notifications bell so you don't miss any future streams as well. Thanks to Adam, who's just given that a like on Facebook. Vaughn, you flew with Jet 2. I don't mind Jet 2. Jet 2 are okay. I've flown with them a few times. Okay, guys. Whilst we are nicely in the cruise, I'm just going to go head back to the galley, grab myself a drink. So I will be back with you in a couple of minutes. And we're back with you. Hope everyone is well. Now then, the islands I can see down there, I'm just coming back, is that... which islands are they? Let's get back in the flight deck and see where we are, shall we? We are inbound to Apollo, which, if we scroll through, we shall find. There's a lot of waypoints involved in this flight plan. There we go. There we are. So just off to the south of France at the moment. We're getting the warning now on the McDo, the estimation estimated fuel on board is below minimums. That is a bug, sadly. Ah, Danny, has YouTube also stopped giving you messages? Don't know why it does that. I just presume turning on the notification bell would make sure nobody missed any of the live streams, so you'd know exactly when they started. When we get to Apollo in a couple of minutes, we'll do a fuel check as well, just to make sure, because we know that the fuel plate sadly is no longer working correctly. Daniel, how do I deal with altitude difference between this and VATSIM? Yeah, ignore the toolbar. The toolbar is wrong. The toolbar, I don't know if it uses local pressure when obviously we're on standard pressure for the time being. But you'll always get a notification from me in our Discord server whenever we do go live. So at Apollo, 58 minutes into the flight, let's check. What would we expect to see? We're slightly ahead actually, thanks to that little shortcut we got from air traffic control. So we should have around 4.6 tons of fuel showing. Oh, nice. 4.6 tons, no problem with the fuel. Maverick751, hello to you on Twitch. HD's back, hope you're well. Daddy on VAT static, we're flight level 370. That's strange. Perhaps the air traffic controllers in VATSIM now are just aware of it and they know there's nothing they can do, but they know. How long to top ascent, Danny? Probably about 30 minutes or so, something like that. Now look at that wind has spun round now. The forecast was for it to become in fact, what was the forecast? We'll find that on the operational flight plan. I think it was 230. I think it would have given us a direct headwind if it came the other way around, but I've not been trained for it. I'm not allowed to land on that runway. Captain's only landing and all that. Where's the weather? Yeah, look, there it is. So 30% chance of it temporarily between the time we're landing being 230 at 8. Well, you know, we can land with a 15 knot tailwind. If ATC are online and they're insisting runway 23 isn't used, I shall respectfully decline. Hey Wayne, good to see you. AFN Logic on Twitch, flight request Los Angeles. I don't think we've ever done Los Angeles. Bear in mind, if you're new to the channel, we only fly EasyJet routes normally, with the exception of Mondays when we do long haul. Now, a word about that. We of course also have our VFR flights that we do on a Sunday evenings. But due to the fact that it's bank holiday weekend here in the UK, that's not going to take place this Sunday. What it might do instead is take place on Monday evening. Now I can't guarantee that, but if you're in our Discord server, you'll not miss it, as I will of course be in touch. Chalty, you're back with us. Have you just finished work for the day, Chalty? Hope you've had a good one. FM Logic, thanks for hosting. So with half an hour to go until we start looking at descending, let's go through a few things.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. Full details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So we'll just wait for that company message to come through. So the live METAR is winds are variable at 2 knots. Well, that's okay. Let's just print that off. Oh no! I've made a fatal mistake. I hit the print button. I keep forgetting that breaks it. Okay, I'll get this restarted. For any of you that has seen the how to restore your flight quickly after a crash to desktop, stick with me. and we'll get this reloaded back in. That's the first time that's happened. How strange. I've seen a few people tell me that they have that issue, but we'll get this back loaded again in a second. What I need to do is just download the flight plan. So while Microsoft Flight Simulator loads back up, there we go, that's downloaded. Flight Simulator's loading back up. Yeah, a few people have said that pressing that button causes an issue. I've never had it happen to me. This is the first time for everything. There we can hear Microsoft Flight Simulator loading in the background. Weird, isn't it? Wonder what causes it. Prox FPV, you just realised you were watching 40 minutes behind. You clicked live second just before you pressed print. Ah. That's unfortunately. Rather when you're trying to remember if your crash to desktop was caused by that, you didn't realise the print button was broken. Yeah, a few people have said it is. Not entirely sure what it is that causes that, but we'll get back up and running. All it means is that I just need to manipulate a few things to get it working. So we're going to load back in at Omrad, the waypoint. So here's where we were just before we crashed. We were at Omrad, and so we're going to load in about 4.4 tons of fuel. Actually, if that's what we had. But yeah, we'll get that loaded back in, and stick with me for a couple of minutes. We'll be back in the air. Air Trooper 37, it did, it crashed. I pressed the print button. That was annoying. HD, were you 20 minutes behind as well? Maybe something daft's going on with YouTube today. A few people saying they've been behind and they've not had notifications. Adler, yeah, we had a crash to desktop. It's alright, we'll get restarted. Cardinal 22, you took a Southwest flight to Florida last month. In real life, you spent the entire flight worried that the pilot would accidentally hit the print button. We're nearly loaded in now. Give it a second. What I find strange, I don't know if anyone else gets this, my mouse cursor disappears on this screen. I don't know why that is. Oh, it's back now. Very weird. HD, you're just old and confused. Right. Should we carry on our nice flight? So, I want to go more. Let's load our flight plan. There it is. So I'm looking for Omrad. There we go. Alright, Dark Fury, who was flying with me. He's just there. So I'm actually going to skip forward one. Let's go to Merlu. Set that as our departure. And we'll fly it. We're then probably going to have to import the flight plan back in because the custom flight plan aircraft doesn't recognise Microsoft Flight Simulator's flight planner, so we'll just have to tease that back in. So we'll manipulate a couple of things in a second, get airborne, and then we need to start that departure, that arrival brief. There we go. Now, aircraft may do some completely daft things when I hit ready to fly, so let's see what happens. First thing I want is auto thrust speed. Let's just pull the heading bug. Flight level 350, thrust climb, open descent, heading. There we go. Now as you can see, we've got no flight plan. That's okay for the time being. So, as I say, we're just going to manipulate this to get it back to where we were. And I'll change the fuel as well in a moment. Now, the flight plan will just take a second to load back in. There it is. There's everything populating. Just make sure we're still in heading mode. What's going off here? Ah, it helps if you turn the autopilot on, doesn't it? Silly me. Thank you, Chalty. Good spot. Right, there we go. Reducing speed as we climb. Now, let's go direct to Merlu. If we can find it. Well, we may have to go the one after it, actually. Okay, direct to Gupra. Nav. And we were flying the wrong way as well, we were heading northeast. So let me just check that. Say, it's not foolproof, this version of doing it, but it should work. Once we're back on track, we'll reconnect back up to VATSIM. We can also look at manipulating the fuel. In fact, let's not use Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's use the McDo menu. ATSU, AOC, performance, weights and balance. Let's load in what I want. I want about 3.4 tons of fuel. No, I don't. I want 4.4 tons of fuel. And let's pop that there. Refuel. Ah, perhaps that's not gonna work whilst we're at mid-air. That's a shame. Realistic, but a shame. Brian, all this was caused by pressing the print button. You're quite right. Strangely enough, I am slightly concerned that I'm still not seeing that flight plan, even though we've imported it. And it's showing correctly on here. Is it going to still fly with an in-up navigation display? I'm not convinced that's going to work. Which is a great shame. If you look at the top right hand corner, sadly nothing is showing. We may have to try something else. If I open the VFR map, it'll give me an idea as to where we're going and which direction we're pointing. But, oh, there we go. For some reason, so that's the map as loaded by Microsoft Flight Simulator, which sadly it won't see. So what we're going to do, I'll tell you what we'll do instead. Can we pick up that VOR? We may have to stay off VATSIM for this, sadly, but no, we're too far away. I was going to see if I could pick up the VOR. Either way, let's just pull the heading bug and bring that around slightly so we can get back on track as it is. And let me have a quick look through on VATSIM. Let's find a VOR that we can pick up. Do some old school navigation, shall we? ELB, which was on our flight plan. "68 miles away." There it is. Now, the needles don't work, so we're just going to have to use this almost like an NDB. And we'll keep an eye on it. Okay, old school navigation it is then. Let's see if we can still get into split without the use of the flight plan GPS system. Next question, where are we going after ELB? Hopefully we can pick up the Ancona VOR, which is ANC. Let's pop that on here. Frequency of 110.65. There it is. It's like flying the DC-6, isn't it? HD, the VFR map could be very wrong because it doesn't. The experimental version doesn't like it. Doesn't link up with it properly. Can I even put the arrival in? Let's try. So the ILS Zulu. What was the approach? It was meant to be the Topo 1 Zulu. Let's see if that's there. So if I put in the Topo 1 Zulu by Chemix, insert that. Do we get anything? Nope. It's broken. Never mind. Alright, well this is fun. Something a bit different. Don't tell the passengers that we've lost all our navigation. Okay, so we're in track mode. We're going to track this VOR. HD IRS should be aligned because when starting in the air it does it automatically. Double check it though. Yeah, 3 nav green. I think we are. We're just going to have to make it up as we go along. Abed, how am I? I was fine until we had a crash to desktop, and now we've lost all our navigation. So we're going old school. Can I try and reduce the fuel as well? Let's try and make it balanced, shall we? There we go. That's probably about the right amount of fuel that we had as well. So, to all intents and purposes, we're almost there. HD, we could put course in the RadNav page. What course would you put in? Do you know, this is the one thing I don't like about Airbus, and I think it's the only thing I don't like about Airbus. You've no actual heading value given. So my bad eyes mean that I have to kind of guess that what course is that? It's about course 100. I'm literally just pointing towards the needle at the minute. Question is, where do we go after that? We're surely too far away from the VOR in Split. Let's find out. SPL. If I put that in there, 102. SPL. 284 miles away. I'm not going to pick that up. That's far too far away. Can we pick up the Pescara VOR? PES. It appears not. Chalty 8th, I think it's due to the new experimental version. So that's the reason that that it's not working. It's not designed to start its flight mid-air. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Yeah, and as HD's just said, the fact that there's no CDR... Oh, there is a CDR bar. Ah, it's come back in. That wasn't working originally. Right, let's track that VOR properly, shall we? We could be in the Bermuda Triangle, Chalty. I have no idea. Right, well, anyway, after we leave the... oh, that's my mouse zoom wheel not playing ball. After we leave this ELB waypoint, or VOR, then we can fly 057 degrees. Just missed that whilst I was looking at the operational flight plan. You can see that just moving away as we get closer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fly a heading of 057 degrees. That will keep us on course for a little bit. And then what I hope we can do is pick up. Let me just bring you the chart. So we have just left this VOR here. We're now coming up flying 057 degrees. then we should be heading to this waypoint. Obviously, we can't pick up a waypoint if the nav system's broken, but we can pick up, hopefully at some point, the Ancona VOR. So, let's try and get that in, shall we? ANC. And using real raw data, we should be at MTEL 12 minutes after passing that VOR. So, as it's been a couple of minutes past, in around 10 minutes, I'll make a right-hand course change to fly 071 degrees. ANC Direct 2 didn't work, Dark, that's the problem. And at some point while doing all this, we actually need to brief the approach. So can I get that weather again, this time without pressing the print button? And as HG says, we want to try and track that outbound. Let's get back on course. Oh, hang on. We've now picked up the next VOR, so I want to try and fly towards that. 125 miles away from ANC VOR. HD, so now that I've picked up that next VOR, then I'm just taking the shortcut route. And we're now 120 miles away. HD, we'll just put ELB back on VR1. Okay. So that's ELB 28 miles away behind us, course 057. And then had we continued then with that, presumably we'd track I think we've lost it distance wise. We've lost it anyway. HD, this is a mess. That's what happens when you press the print button. Okay, let's go direct to ANC. So my initial plan, let's just stop and retrace the steps. My initial plan was from ELB to fly on the outbound course of 057. We've then picked up the ANC VOR, which is 107 miles away, which is now just here. Once we've passed the ANC VOR, then we can turn and head towards Tora. So we're going to fly outbound from the ANC VOR to Tora, and then we're going to have to perhaps maybe do the VOR approach into Split, given that we've lost everything. HD, we've got no course set in the ANC, so we're just flying directly towards it. And it should be 071, I think. Had we have made it to Amtel. Sorry, 061. There we go. Now, can I at least use the prog page to work out my distance from the airport? $208 miles away. We'll use that as a help with our top of descent. Ah, Razlovan, I wish HD could. It would make things much easier. Now, we've still got an arrival to prep for. Don't press the print button. Those winds are favourable. HD, if I can pick up the Split VOR, I will be doing. Uh, 070 at 522 degrees and 1009 the QNH. Don't print, we'll just go to the perf page, get all this information put in. Glad at least the winds have stayed favourable for us, so we've got that on our side if nothing else. Not even had time to look at the approach charts yet. Transition altitude 10,000 feet. And runway visual range is above 1,000 meters. 440. The minimum descent. In fact, hang on, that's the ILS. Can we still do the ILS? We haven't got a navigation display. So we'd have to use the NDB and fly. Oh god, that's confusing. Okay. That's probably the highest Cat 1 I've seen. We should still be able to do it, because if we're going to track the VOR, we're going to use the VOR to help us get in, then what we can do is we'll tune that to help us get there. We'll be coming from the east and we'll be able to intercept it. Weather's good, we should be able to see anyway, so that will help. So we'll stick with the ILS. And that frequency 110.5. Airport elevation is 70. And missed approach 5,000 feet. Platform altitude 2,800 feet. Minimum safe altitude, well, 5,000 feet. But we're over the sea as we're coming in, so that's no great surprise. The terrain to the northeast and the east itself is our main problem, so hopefully we shall not go missed. Did I put the decision minimum descent height in? I didn't, did I? .440. And in the RadNav page then, ILS frequency. Oh, the ILS frequency has actually tuned itself in. That's nice. So, the split VOR 115.7 SPL. Turn that on. Can't pick that up just yet. HD, I think that's what we're going to have to do. Don't overthink it, don't overcomplicate it. Weather's good. By the time we get down, then we should be able to see what we're doing. But I would like to be able to pick up that NDB, sorry, that next VOR very soon. If we don't, then we'll fly out on a heading of 071 until we do. Okay, let's do an approach brief. So we're currently inbound to the ANC VOR. If we haven't picked up the split VOR by the time we get there, we'll leave ANC. We're going to track 071. We'll maintain that track out here. This should give us enough time then to pick up the split VOR. We're going to start our top of descent around about 120 miles away. We'll get down nice and steady. We don't want to rush this. How far away are we? We're 140 miles away from Split at the moment, and we've got that strong tailwind as well. HD, is that not on the OFP? 21 miles away from ANC. A flyable 350. We should be able to pick up the split VOR soon. You can actually go onto it, can't you? See how powerful they are if it gives you more details. Range / power. Yeah. So that's about 120 miles normally. That's how far away we picked up the ANC VOR that we're doing at the moment. Dark, of course. You're still on what's it, aren't you? You're still on VATSIM. Good luck. There we go. We've picked up the split VOR. HD, we've picked up Split. Should we just now not go direct inbound to Split? We've just picked that up in time. 127 miles away. So now we've got that. Shall we track it? There we are. Right, let me put the ILS frequency in. Oh, that's already in, actually, 110.5. Let's start heading down with that tailwind. So, I'm going to start by going down to flight level 100. Thrust idle, open descent, 100 blue. I thought I'd put that course in, not quite sure why it disappeared. HD, I can't wait to read your Friday night briefing. It's going to take you all weekend. Thank God I'm away. Oh, did it change when you changed the VOR? Ah, okay. Okay. I'm with you. Right, so while this has been a rather flustered stage of the flight, trying to get things almost back on track. We want to see Split Airport at the end of the day. That was the point of this flight. Weather and landing information received. Flight management guidance computer is programmed, and by that I mean the RadNav page, because the flight plan is stuffed. Landing elevation is 70 feet. What's the length of the runway at Split? We're going to go with auto brake low for that. We need to use the turning pads at the end anyway. So our arrival briefing, we're coming in and we are going to do the ILS approach. We're on our way down now, as you can see. We can't turn the terrain radar on, sadly, because it doesn't work. Hopefully the cloud base isn't too much. If I just quickly have a look at that again, because I'm going to be relying a lot on what I can see out of the window. 4,000 feet. Oh, correction. Ceiling visibility is okay. Excellent. If only I could fly to these, that would be far better. But sadly they're not showing. Oh, and I wanted a nice easy flight for a Friday to finish the week off. I'm getting the landing system turned on nice and early.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, you may have noticed that we've just begun our final descent into our destination. If you could now assist the cabin crew by tidying up your tray table and handing them any litter as they come around, that would be most appreciated. For safety reasons, we ask now that you please turn off all electronic devices or switch them to airplane mode until after we have landed. Please note that the aircraft toilets are now out of use. If you wish to become a Easyjetsimpilot channel member, please contact a member of your cabin crew who will be happy to assist you. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed your flight.
Yes, so I can't see any reason why the localizer, glide slope, etc. shouldn't capture. That should all be fine. Okay, so I'm just going to slow down the rate of descent. We don't need to come down quite this quickly. So in track FPA, we're coming up on flight level 200. So yeah, HD, I think I'm happy to do that. Then we can control the descent rate, can't we, a little better. So we've got speed 1500 blue and heading. Danny, we were using track FBA because we were tracking VORs as our flight plans disappeared. We were flying the Airbus like a Cessna or a DC-6. HD, I'm breathing a small sigh of relief that you've said that, because I much prefer VS rather than FPA at this stage of a flight anyway. Our nav is a different matter. Seatbelt signs. Approach checklist. So minimums are set. Engine mode selector is normal electronic flight bag. Stowed. Can I contact a member of the cabin crew because I require assistance? It's been one of those flights. It does sound rather atmospheric, doesn't it, Danny? Like some sort of foreboding doom. I'll wind that speed back a little bit, let the engine start to roll back as we just continue our descent down. We most certainly do want to capture that localizer. That should pop in the next 20 miles or so, hopefully. So our profile doesn't look too bad at the moment. Down we go into those clouds. And what is the CRS for this approach? It is 049. It's actually already programmed in, so why has it not done it? Or do we have to do that on here? No, that's not right. Does it not ping in HD until we've picked it up? 110.5. 110.5. Yeah, that's right. ILS DME, so we should get distance to it as well. Starting to warm up a little bit now. Ice not detected, but okay, I'm just going to slow down that rate of descent a little bit and let's roll the speed back as we get down. Then we can continue our descent. Arm the approach phase, so that's done and out the way. Let's continue that descent down. I'm going to pop the aircraft now into managed speed, but bear in mind, of course, we're still set 1,500 feet per minute. 30 miles away. Okay, I'm going to use some spoilers to help us get down a little more. Continue that descent down. to 3,000 feet. QNH is 1009. Right, so we've just picked up the direction of the ILS. We've not yet picked up any more information on that though. We're just starting to come out of the cloud, so that's good. VMC. 25 miles out. We're a bit high. At the moment. But we'll continue this descent rate. Spoilers are out at the moment. We can cut the anti-ice, get the lights on. And HD, could we go right a little bit? Just to extend a few track miles and then perhaps come in, starting our approach a little bit further out. So let's go ahead and do that. Right, as if we weren't doing already, let's concentrate even more now. There's the glide slope.
Cabin crew, please prepare the cabin for landing.
Once we get on track with that, we'll slow down the rate of descent. That'll start to slow us down. We'll get flaps 1 out. And we're 17.5 miles away. What do you do when you can't engage the lock? Panic. And what I also kind of like to do as well, 110.5, if I park that on RadNav 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing.
That helps me work out,
Bag is safely stowed with
because
your
the
laptop inside.
VOR
Tray
isn't
table must be stowed, armrests
on the
down,
airport.
and
There is a
windows
slight
remain
difference.
open.
That just helps
You
me
now need to
work
be
that
seated
out
with your seatbelt
a little
fastened,
better.
ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets
So we're
are
now
no
catching up
longer
to that
reserved.
glide slope. And we can start to just roll that descent rate back a little bit. I've still got the speed brake out as well, remember. We're still using that. And if we need to, we're going to get the landing gear out nice and early. Let's do it. Flaps 1. Flaps 2. Speed brake armed. Here comes the localizer. It's not capturing the glide slope. It's also not capturing the localizer. Okay. Autopilot off. I have control. This is very non-standard, non-ops, but now we're visual. 7 miles out.
2,500.
Radar altimeter alive. Flaps 3. Flaps full.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Landing checklist. Cabin secured. Auto thrust. Speed. Go around altitude 5000 set. Landing memo. ECAM no blue. That light and variable winds. So it's been an absolute bugger of an approach. Pardon my French. Let's see if we can at least touch us down. So the reason it's not captured the ILS will have been because of the whole crash to desktop situation. And then trying to restart mid-air. Sadly, this aircraft doesn't like it.
1,000.
I think HD's fainted. Let's get back on that centre line. Two white, two red.
Hundred above. 500.
Continue. Approach is stable.
Minimum.
Happy to continue.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Reversers on. Spoilers deployed. Decel. $70 knots, reversers off. Auto brake low now turned off. Manual braking and let's vacate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you. checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat, and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your Easyjet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or Easyjet app.
Right, let's get parked up and find a bar. Passengers would have been none the wiser, right? I'll take the drone camera out as well in a moment, and we shall have a look at this wonderful scenery from Orbx, which shall be released in the next couple of days, I believe. Parking brakes on. Let's get the radars off so we don't fry the ground crew. Engine 1 off, engine 2 off, seatbelt signs off. I'm just waiting for the logbook. Is the logbook not going to appear? Oh, that's strange. Oh, mind you, we restarted mid-flight, didn't we? So it probably wouldn't do. No. Right, APU is on. Rotating beacon light can come off. And have we got any ground power? Let's have a quick look. If not, I'm sure we can make some. Let's use the tablet. Now if these will launch, that'd be quite nice. There we go. There's all the ground vehicles, so we can now call those over. Get the external power on, and then let's go and have a look around, shall we? So once again, this is the new Orbx split airport that will be released very soon. We did I would say we did the easiest landing, coming in the other way around. If the winds had have turned, although I'm not certain I would have done it today given all the problems we'd have had. Runway 23 involves coming around here, making a turn to come in and land on runway 23. The ILS for runway 5 is of course much easier, but highly detailed scenery from Orbx as you would expect. Now this is an airport that if you like flying places like Funchal and Gibraltar, then given how the winds are for runway 23, then yeah, this is another one you'll really want to add to the collection. Detailed airport terminal buildings as well. I've never been here in real life, so I can't say how accurate everything is, but to me it looks fantastic. And the Orbx guys, they always do a stunning job, don't they? So really nice looking. So sadly we couldn't do the flight in on VATSIM. We of course did have problems with regards our flight plan, and I flagged this up when the experimental version became released. It will not use or recognize Microsoft Flight Simulator's default flight planner. So in the past, when I've been able to load a flight plan in after a crash to desktop, the same way I did today, it would have worked absolutely fine, but sadly this aircraft doesn't recognize it. So, lesson learned today, don't hit the print button. And hopefully, Dark Fury, you were on VATSIM and you were flying nicely, and hopefully you had a more successful flight than I did. But if we just as well, let me just speed up that drone cam, because they've obviously not just done the scenery for the airport itself, they've also done scenery for around the airport. So you probably saw as we were coming in, if I just have a look and just change the weather a little bit. There we go. You'll have probably seen the sail ships and some of the details as we overflew the scenery coming in for the ILS runway 05. Treadwin, it was the McDo print button. Yeah. So, yeah, really nice. Great airport. One I will visit again, hopefully with a fully working flight plan. But yeah, there it is. The arrival to Split, and interestingly enough, something I didn't brief was the fact that as you land it's slightly uphill and then it goes downhill, and looking at that, that is exactly what you can see just there. So great work again by the scenery creators of Split Airport. Right guys, thank you so much for watching what I'd planned to be an uneventful flight. Didn't work out that way. I'm going to go and just check that HD is alright after that. His blood pressure is sky high. Thank you very, very much for watching tonight. Thank you to Dark Fury who flew alongside. Hope you had a safe landing. Big thanks to all of you for watching. For those of you that have donated and contributed to the channel throughout the stream as well, a big thanks to you guys. I shall see you for the next live stream, which we hope will be much more uneventful than that one. Please do hit the like button on the stream, hit subscribe, and of course turn on notifications bell so you don't miss any future content to come. I'm going to go and get myself a large cup of tea because I think I'm going to need a pot of the stuff while we go through a debrief. Have a great weekend everyone. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye.